everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for NeedyMeds special topic webinar, Rekindle Your Resolution. My name is Carla. I am the Director of Education at NeedyMeds. And before we get started with the presentation, I wanted to go over just a few points. You can feel free to ask questions at any time throughout this evening's presentation by typing them into the question section of your GoToWebinar control panel. Just know that we are reserving answering questions until the end. If we don't have time to answer your particular question, we will follow up with you personally via email after the webinar by tomorrow afternoon. And of course, at the end of the presentation, we will provide the contact information for both NeedyMeds and the organization that is hosting this evening's webinar, PAC Health. Also, the heads up that this webinar will be recorded and available for viewing on the NeedyMeds YouTube page, hopefully within a day, possibly a couple of days. So that's another great resource to refer back to or share with your friends. So let's talk about first what NeedyMeds is for those of you that are not familiar with our organization. NeedyMeds is a national nonprofit, and on your screen right now is a slide of our mission statement and how we achieve it. And our mission that we actually updated in 2016 to more accurately reflect what we do is that we are dedicated to educating and empowering those seeking affordable health care. And how we do that is by connecting people free and anonymously through our website and toll-free helpline. And there's a snapshot of our homepage. I always like to put that up because really our website is the face of our organization. But anyway, as you had heard, part of our mission is education. And we fulfill that goal by certainly spreading the word about NeedyMeds and the resources we have to offer, by also letting people know about other ways to stay healthy, which is why we are so pleased to have our expert with us from PAC Health, Tamara Wilson. So Tamara is a nutritionist and health coach with PAC Health. So let me tell you a little bit about PAC Health, first of all. PAC Health is a digital health coaching company that helps people with chronic conditions live their happiest and healthiest lives. You set the goal, and your PAC Health advisor will help you get there with weekly coaching calls and personalized follow-up. Now that I told you just a bit about PAC Health, let me tell you just a bit about Tamara. Tamara is a nutritionist and health coach with PAC Health. She uses her master's degree in clinical nutrition and health coach certification every day as a health advisor at PAC Health, where she's helped over 300 members. I bet that number's higher since the last time I asked her for this bio. Helped over 300, which by the way was only about a week ago. She's helped over 300 members on their journey to better health. Tamara's superpower, and it is a superpower, and you'll see why, is making it easier for you to build health habits that help you feel better. And she really does so with pleasant persistence and actually a really uncanny ability to understand and troubleshoot the obstacles that stand in your way. During this presentation, Tamara is going to do a deep dive on how to set a health goal that sticks. That's the big part, one that sticks. And learn how PAC Health coaching programs, which are free for NeedyMeds users with qualifying conditions, can support your personal path to success, even when side effects, symptoms, and daily stressors threaten to derail your goals. So you'll see once Tamara gets started why we are so thrilled to have her expertise this evening and why NeedyMeds is so excited to continue a partnership with PAC Health. So without further ado, I am going to hopefully seamlessly pass the mic and the screen to Tamara so she can take it away. And Tamara, you should be able to grab the screen now, and she'll be able to take away the screen. I'll pass over the mic to her, and I'll let you see why we're so excited to have her here with us this evening. Enjoy the presentation. Thanks, Tamara.
Thank you, Carla. And good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us on this evening's webinar. Again, my name is Tamara Wilson, and I currently am a health advisor here at PAC Health. And this evening's topic will center around rekindling your resolution. Okay, so the common trend of each new year is to set a New Year's goal or resolution. It may be to exercise more, eat better, quit smoking, or even save money. And some of you may have already set some health goals this year and might be doing well, or others may have run into a bit of a snag in the road where your energy or your zeal for your goal may have fizzled out, or you may have encountered some obstacles or barriers that seem to be difficult to navigate through. So, tonight we're going to explore some possible strategies to help you rekindle your resolution. So, are your resolutions feeling like a bit of a reach, right? So, initially, when you set goals, you have a vision of success and a list of things that you want to do, but somewhere along the way, things just start to pile up. And you may encounter some barriers such as your health, your life, and other things that direct your attention away from your goal. And so you may start to feel like things really aren't going according to your plan, right? Or for some of you who are particularly in the South, it's too cold to do anything, or life is just getting in the way. Or for some reason, if you're trying to manage your chronic health condition, it may feel as if your mind wants to do one thing, but your body is just in argument with that, and they're just not on the same page. So, what can you do to push forward? And so you have these goals in mind, but sometimes they feel like they're not coming together. So, to be honest, these feelings are perfectly normal. However, it's important to understand that the barriers will always come. However, it's the response to that barrier that makes all the difference. So, let's work together to try to change the narrative. So, what does it take to set a goal that sticks? So the first thing you need is motivation. So before you say, I already have motivation, I've already set the goal, hear me out. I want you to reflect for a moment on what motivation truly means to you. What or who is that person, event, or thing that when you imagine it or look at it or you see it inspires you to push beyond your doubt, to push beyond your barriers? And motivation is different for everyone. It can be seeing your grandchild grow up so you can roll around on the floor with them, or getting back into those old pair of jeans that's been staring at you in the closet, or maybe an older picture of yourself where you were in better health. No matter how different your motivation is, the purpose is still the same. It's the drive that keeps you going. So when thinking about your goal that you have set, write down next to it what inspires you or motivates you to keep going. So let's talk about your goal. We're going to start to learn the mechanics of making a SMART goal, okay? There's a formula that's involved when you're setting a goal. So I want you to think of your goal like a puzzle, one of those old school puzzles that you buy at the store. And if you've ever completed a puzzle, you know that when you first purchase the box, you know exactly how the finished product is supposed to look. Just like how you know exactly what your goal is supposed to look like when you achieve it. However, when you open the box of the puzzle, all you see are jumbled pieces. We are going to put your pieces together. So, what's your big picture? This is a great time to pull out your pen and paper if you haven't already started writing, okay? So one of my favorite things is I'm a big person about action. So feel free to break out your pen and paper because we're going to get some heavy duty writing in, okay? I want you to explore what your goal will be. Think about what it is that you're currently working on or would like to work on. And I want you to think about who is your motivation. We explored earlier what motivation may look like for you. So I want you to explore your goal and motivation together of what it would look like for your mind, your body, your spirit, and how that goal would actually impact you and the people that you love. So let's bring that goal into focus. So here's an excellent quote from one of our members, Miss Linda Perkins. And she says, no matter what your goal for the new year, you can do this. And it's all about changing that perspective. So let's bring this goal into focus. All right. So remember, it's important to remember that change takes time. So I want you to picture your goal more so as a marathon than a sprint race. Often we want our goals completed yesterday without focusing on today. And a sprint often implies a quick finish and a definite end. A marathon, however, gives you the opportunity to pace yourself with the expectations that sometimes you may get tired and weary, but you're a part of this race for a reason, and it inspires you to push forward. And sometimes there will be points where you may have to slow down. You may have to regroup and refuel, but continue on that path in front of you as guidance. Okay? So, some key tips to keep in mind when setting that goal. You want to make changes in phases of tiny steps versus big changes. When you try to make big changes, or all or nothing changes, or multiple changes at one time, that can be overwhelming. Sometimes it causes frustration and definitely discouragement. But by taking things in tiny steps or tiny phases, you can increase the likelihood for success, definitely improve your confidence to set and achieve more goals. Another tip to keep in mind before we transition into the SMART goal, you want to definitely celebrate your progress in your journey. So it's definitely easy to be a critic of yourself. And you can always say what you didn't do, what you forgot to do, what you could have done better. But what if you flipped the script and started to address the positive actions that you did, such as, although you didn't make it to the gym this week, I made sure to walk the stairs at work at least 3 times a day this week. Or I definitely drank 4 cups of water and 1 less soda this week, or 1 less juice this week. It's all about the change talk. So you want to be able to support, nurture, and encourage yourself. And the fourth and final tip that we want to talk about is making sure that your surrounding environment supports your success. So I want you to ask yourself, does your physical and social environment set you up for success with your goals? If so, great, you're on the right track. If not, what are some modifications that may need to be made in order for you to ensure success? Which leads us to setting this SMART goal that you see on the screen. So you heard me mention this phrase before. SMART is an acronym for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So some of the things you want to keep in mind is that when you are talking about the goal that you wrote down, you want to make sure that you are thinking of the different pieces that make up this big goal, okay? So what does specific mean? Is your goal specific? Instead of saying, I want to lose weight, try to say, I want to lose 15 pounds. Instead of saying, I want to feel better, say, I want to decrease my pain level on a scale of 1 to 10. Once you have your specific goal, let's make it measurable. Measurability applies, how do I know that I achieved my goal? So if your goal is to lose the 15 pounds, you may currently be at 215 pounds, and my goal is 200. So you're actually putting some numbers behind that general goal. If you're trying to manage your pain level, so you may currently be at an 8 on that scale of 1 to 10. So your success could be measured by bringing it down from an 8 to a 4. Once you have those two pieces, you can navigate over to the achievability of that goal. Is the goal that you set achievable or obtainable? Do you have the ability to achieve this goal in your chosen time span? There's a difference in wanting to lose 50 pounds in 3 months versus 15 pounds in 3 months. Okay, so that's something to keep in mind about achievability. Is your goal relevant? So does your specific goal has relevance to your major goal? Are the steps that you're willing to take in line with your original or overall goal and focus? Sometimes we set goals or try activities that have nothing to do with the goal, which causes us to sometimes lose focus. So that's something to think about. When you're trying to set your individual goals, Is it relevant to the overlying goal that you're trying to achieve? And then finally, let's put some time on it. Is your goal time bound? If you want to improve your pain level and you want to decrease it from an 8 to a 4 within a time span, what is something that's actually measurable for you? So a simple way to start would be, let's try 3 months. That gives you plenty of time to get used to changing your behaviors, but also gives you a chance to actually see success or measure your progress. And so placing a time on your goal makes it more real and allows you to become more accountable to yourself. So at the bottom of this slide, you see this nice little quote that says, in the next 3 months, I want to blank. So this is the perfect time. If you've had that goal that you've been striving towards and it's been giving you a hard time, or there's definitely a goal that you've wanted to work on for a while, this is a perfect place to start. So in the next 3 months, I want to blank. All right, so I hope that you're writing that down on your paper. All right, so what does achievability look like for you? How do you set yourself up for success after making your goals SMART? So it's important to be realistic about your goals and expectations. Are you willing to be flexible with your schedule, your social circle, your current level of physical ability? How can you make the most of your surroundings? If your goal is to move more and it's cold outside, what activity could you do inside? Or if you learn that exercise will help to improve pain, but you don't have much mobility, what are simple exercises that you can try, such as walking back and forth to the kitchen? This type of activity can actually help you to build stamina. Remember, it's the little things over time that lead to big success. And at the end, make sure that your goal is something that is important to you, not to other people. I'm going to say that again. It's important to remember that your goal is something that is important to you and not to other people. Because this is where that motivational piece comes in. It's why do you want to accomplish this in the first place? So make sure you dig deep so you can find out what it is you want to see happen. So, what are some things to keep in mind? Have you factored in what your body needs? Definitely good nutrition, definitely good day and bad day exercises, and those environmental factors such as your social support system as well as your physical environment. So that will include work, home life, things of that nature. So those are the factors that you want to keep in mind as you're accomplishing your goals. So this is where you're really about to put that pen and paper to good use, okay? So where am I now to where am I going? This is what we call the action plan phase. This is how you start to make these goals stick. So you now have all your puzzle pieces laid out. So now it's time to put them together. So 3 months from now, you want to do something. So I want you to think about what is it that you want to accomplish in your 3 months time span, whether it's lose weight, save money, manage your pain better. What health goal is relevant to your needs? Next point is, as of today, I am blank. So as of February 6, 2018, I am at blank weight, or I'm at $0, or I have a pain level of 8. And in 3 months, what does success look like for you? Is it I'll be at 200 pounds, I will have saved $500, or my pain level will be at a 4? And as you're setting this goal, keep in mind that SMART acronym as you're being specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And so the goal is to check that you wrote something down that can happen in 3 months. That's your attainability. And sometimes it can be difficult to figure out which goal is most important, right? So you may have multiple goals, and that's okay. So I want you to choose the most important goal first, and you can achieve the others in due time. So now that you have what you're trying to achieve, how exactly are you about to accomplish this? So I want you to think of 3 simple actions that you are willing to do that's going to help you accomplish that goal. So if your goal is of losing weight, you may want to make better food choices. You may want to be more active. You may want to drink more water. If that goal of yours is for pain management, you may want to move more. You may want to take your medications as prescribed, or make sure that you're not missing any dosages. That's really important. Or if you notice that stress is a trigger of yours and it aggravates your pain, making sure you can discuss strategies to manage your stress. So those are 3 simple steps. So I want you to write down at this point, what are your 3 steps that you're willing to do to help you accomplish that goal you wrote down previously? Now, this is where you get to the point where, how do I make this truly stick? Because barriers are something that we mentioned previously that have a way of throwing you off track. So what's in your way? Barriers are those things that sometimes may throw you off track with your goals. So I want you to think, what are your personal barriers? Is it time? Is it your friends, your family, yourself, lack of motivation? What are those things that may have thrown you off track in the past? Identifying or writing your barriers down actually allows you the opportunity to bring them out in the open and gives you a real chance to strategize ways around those barriers. So you probably see at the bottom, there's a nice little action plan for you when you have your barriers, right? So when this happens, I will blank. So your barrier may be time. So you may want to find more time to get active, but you may feel as if you don't have that time. So what can you do? If your time barrier comes from work, instead of allowing work to derail you, how do you make the most out of your work schedule? So I want you to think, what are those barriers? And what is one action that you can do to navigate around that barrier? And once you think about those things, I mentioned a few times, your social support system is very important for your success in relation to your goals. So who's on your team? Is it your family, your friends? Are you a member of a support group? Is it your care team, like your clinician and your nurse or your physical therapist? Who are those people? Your social support system can greatly influence or hinder your progress. So don't be afraid to share your goals with your family and friends. They can definitely help to hold you accountable with your goals. And always keep in mind the importance of maintaining mental wellness and sleep hygiene. Okay? So make sure you have a running track of how you're managing your stress. Do you have an outlet for your social support? Are you sleeping well? Because all those different factors play a role in your ability to stick to your goal. So here's another excellent quote from one of our members, Miss Sherry Hardiman. And she says, stress can cause you not to feel well, which causes more stress, and around and round it goes. So definitely piggybacking off of that mental wellness piece, managing those factors that we may not put as much thought into is very important. So make sure you take an inventory of your stress, your sleep, and your social support well-being. So let's do a tiny step. So this is actually something we do with our members here at Pack Health. Each week, we work together to set a tiny step. So you did all this hard work. You have this major goal that we're trying to work towards in 3 weeks. We have what success looks like. We've broken down the steps that you're willing to take to get there. You have these barriers. We know exactly what that motivational factor is to push you to the next level. So what's the first step to doing all of that? And this is what we call the tiny step. So I want you to think about, what exactly are you working towards for this week? All right. When you get that, I want you to think, what exactly can you do in relation to working towards that goal? So if your goal is to be more active, what does it look like? So you want to keep it SMART. How are you going to do this? Will you walk at work? Will you walk before work? During your lunch break? Those types of things. Once you figured out how you're going to do this, what's going to remind you or trigger you to do this particular activity? Will it be your cell phone or your calendar or bright neon sticky notes on your computer screen? What is it that's going to remind you to be more active or to accomplish that goal? And I want you to be realistic. What might get in the way? And what is your barrier plan for that if it does tend to crop up in your ability to set your goals? So, if you're having a hard time sticking to your goals, whether it's symptoms, they seem like they're getting in the way, or life's getting in the way, you're not alone. So, as a health advisor at Pack Health, I work with members on this type of stuff every day, whether it's cutting coupons, creating meal plans, sharing informational videos, even helping you to make the most out of your doctor's appointment. My role as a health advisor is to be on your team every step of the way. So here are some conditions that we actually have here at Pack Health, and we have grant funding for you to offer for free of charge. So if you're interested, don't hesitate to visit packhealth.com/NeedyMeds today. And and the team here at Pack Health are definitely here to help. I hope that you found some of these tips helpful for you. Please feel free to ask any questions that you may have about anything. And I'm hoping that you are definitely rekindling your resolution for the 2018 year.
Tamara, thank you so much for what was not surprisingly a very thorough and inspirational presentation. Is there anything else that you wanted to add before I steal the screen from you?
No, you're still away, Carla.
Thanks so much. So, everybody, now that gives you just a little taste of why we know Tamara is so fantastic, and how much Pack Health has to offer. It's a great time. I do see some questions coming in, but it's a great time for me to go ahead and remind you that you can feel free to type in any questions that you may have. And again, you can type those into the questions section of your GoToWebinar control panel. But don't worry, if you're like me and all of the questions come flooding into your brain about 5 minutes after the webinar ends, we will provide you with the contact information for Pack Health, as well as NeedyMeds, should you have any questions regarding the resources that we offer. One of the things that Tamara mentioned was somebody's goal may be something like medication adherence to reduce their pain level. And certainly, we know a barrier to staying healthy can simply mean having access to the medication or other healthcare needs that you may have. So I just wanted to remind all of our listeners that NeedyMeds' mission is to connect people for free and anonymously to programs that will help them afford their medications and healthcare needs. And you notice I say healthcare needs. A lot of people may not turn to NeedyMeds because they can afford their prescription medication, but they don't have they may need help getting testing supplies for diabetes. They may need help affording a wheelchair. They may need help getting to and from their doctor or specialized facility. So keep in mind that NeedyMeds will hopefully be part of your support team as you get better, in a way that hopefully we connect you to programs that will help you afford or save on your healthcare expenses, because certainly I would imagine that can present a pretty large obstacle to some people. So hopefully we can help with that. While I pass the questions on to Tamara, I'm going to go ahead and leave the contact information up for both NeedyMeds and Pack Health. As Tamara said, don't hesitate to reach out. The website is packhealth.com/NeedyMeds, and they do have a toll-free helpline as well. So one of the questions actually I just asked that came through, which is how do we contact Pack Health? So that information is right on your screen. Another question, Tamara, that came through is how do I pick one goal if I have so many?
Oh, that's a great question. One of the recommendations that I honestly give is that write your goals out. So if you have a detailed list of the different goals that you want to set, write them out and order them. Which one do you consider to be the most important? The one that has the highest priority. And a lot of times when you're setting those goals and you're working toward those goals, you actually start addressing the other goals inadvertently. So that's something to keep in mind. So I would definitely suggest writing them out and really ranking them by order of most important. And then continue to create a plan that revolves around that main goal. And then subsequently, those other goals actually start to fall in line.
Very helpful. And again, as you all saw with this presentation that Tamara always gives, and Pack Health, in these tips that are not only helpful, but they're really attainable. They're, as you said, you have tiny steps and actual actionable things that a novice or a layperson can put into practice. Literally right now, you could hang up the phone and start putting this into practice. Here's another great question that I think applies to a lot of people. You had mentioned, Tamara, I think, and I think I'm reading this question correctly, so please feel free, audience member that submitted this, to correct me. But oftentimes people, I'm going to phrase this the best way I can. Sometimes you had indicated through the through your presentation, Tamara, that rewarding yourself, or what will I do, maybe I misunderstood it as well, like the audience member, but what will I do if I achieve this tiny step, or what will I do once I've overcome this barrier? What are some good ways to sort of reward yourself with staying on track without derailing your efforts? Like, a lot of times, sometimes a reward is food, and that may not be what you're supposed to be doing if you're losing weight. I do that. I'm like, yay, I just walked 3 miles. I'll just have a whole cupcake, and maybe a cupcake and a half. Why not? Just, sort of. So, are there suggestions with how to positively reward yourself without derailing what you've achieved? And obviously, this seems to be related to weight loss. But you can see I'm paraphrasing and elaborating a little bit. But I think I'm getting the gist of what the question was meant to be. So, do you have suggestions about that, Tamara?
Right, absolutely. And I think that's a pretty fair question, Carla, because like you said, sometimes we do feel, food plays an important role in our lives and we do use it as a celebratory action. So one thing I would challenge the audience to do is to think about positive things that you may have done in the past to reward yourself. Maybe there could be activities or hobbies that you've probably had previously that you may not have had time to do before because time may have gotten away from you. Finding those different ways, whether it's hanging out with friends or maybe having a group class of exercise, or even some type of hobby, such as I have one member, believe it or not, she and her friends decided to do a Pure Bar class, and it was like some type of thing they won, and they made it a group thing. And so it was something that was positive. They were staying on track, but the beauty of it was that they were kindling their friendship because they hadn't had time to see each other in so long. So they were turning a particular action, a particular success into something that was positive for them and everyone involved.
That's fantastic. And we do have another question coming in. Actually, we have a bunch of them, but we don't have time to answer everybody's questions. So a reminder, please don't feel that we're neglecting you. As promised, we will certainly follow up with you via email by tomorrow afternoon. But don't hesitate, of course, to reach out to Pack Health and certainly to NeedyMeds at the contact information on that slide on your screen right now. And the other question coming in is, what if you're doing well for a few weeks and then you just get completely off track?
Okay. And that is something it happens. So that's something to keep in mind. And so kind of backtracking to when we were talking before is that, this is a marathon journey, right? And so sometimes there are going to be points where you may fall off track. Things may happen, but it's not the fact that you're focusing on you fell off track. It's what did you do? What was your response to falling off track? And that's where those tiny steps come into play, right? So you have your overarching goal and you wrote them down and you're seeing them every day. So make sure that's one tip too. When you finish writing out your action plan, make sure you place it in a location where you can see it every day so you can keep it in sight, in mind, right? So it's a constant reminder. And when you do that, go back to the drawing board of your tiny step. So even though you may have been on a great stride and you fell off, what's the first step to getting back on track? It's all about that consistency. Consistency is everything. And you can always build back up to the level you were at before you fell off. But remember to invoke change talk. It's not that you fell off track, it's what did you do to get back on track? What are some things that you can start doing today that works up to the point of your level before you fell off track?
As always, a very helpful response. And I'm going to stress this again. I think, Tamara, the reason the advice that you're giving is so impactful is because it provides immediate tiny steps that people can put into place without feeling overwhelmed. And
Mhm.
before we wrap up, here's a tip that I'm going to just throw out there. I happen to find, and I think this is true. This is why we keep inviting Tamara back to do these presentations for our NeedyMeds users. Not only is she a wealth of information, but she presents it in such a way that it makes you feel like you can do it. She's enthusiastic, but also um, again makes these goals really attainable. So here's another suggestion. We are working to turn this video, as I said, this webinar into a video. We try and get it on the NeedyMeds YouTube channel immediately. So hopefully it'll be up today. It might not be up until the end of the week. But if you want to listen to this webinar again, if this motivates you, if this helps, because I do, we've had Pack Health as a presenter before, and reverting back to the presentation, you may not want to listen to the whole thing, but going back to the presentation, listening to Tamara's advice, letting her guide you through, you may find that useful. And another thing I will also mention is that, Tamara, you talk about getting your loved ones and your friends as your support group. Sharing this with them and showing them what you're doing might be great for them, but it may also help you to stay on track. I just thought of that it's something that I do, but I think that that might actually be beneficial to our audience. Would you agree, Tamara?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So we're, like I said, check out our YouTube page. I can't promise by tomorrow, but I would say by Friday it'll be up there. Tomorrow's Wednesday, or by Thursday. Um, we're going to go ahead and wrap up for this evening. I want to thank everybody for taking time out of their schedules to join us to learn about Pack Health and listen to Tamara's great tips. Don't hesitate to reach out to Pack Health or NeedyMeds should you feel that we can help you in any way, or certainly if you have any questions about the presentation this evening. Tamara, thanks so much for taking the time to share your expertise with the NeedyMeds audience. Thanks, everybody, and have a happy and healthy rest of the week. Take care.